Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are going to talk about details in a story. Do you know what details are? Details do two things. One, they support the main idea, and two, they tell more about what's going on in a story. You can think about details in terms of what the characters do, think, say, or feel. You can think about the setting. You can think about the problem or even a conflict that the character has. Today, we're going to read the story, My Lucky Day. My Lucky Day is one of my favorite books, and it's about this little piglet right here and this fox right here. Join me as we determine what details are in this story. One day, a hungry fox was preparing to hunt for his dinner. As he polished his claws, he was startled by a knock on the door. I wonder who that could be at the door. Do you know? Could you make a prediction to see who's at the door? Let's find out. Hey, Rabbit! Someone yelled outside. Are you home? Rabbit, thought the fox. If there were any rabbits in here, I'd have already eaten them for breakfast. When the fox opened the door, there stood a delicious-looking piglet. Oh no! Screamed the piglet. Oh yes, cried the fox. You've come to the right place. He grabbed the piglet and hauled him inside. Do you see the picture of the piglet? How does the piglet look right now? Looks like he's kind of scared or terrified. Terrified is probably the better word. And he just got snatched by the fox, who hauled him, meaning to take him inside. This must be my lucky day, the fox shouted. How often does dinner come knocking on the door? The piglet kicked and squealed. Let me go! Let me go! Sorry, pal, said the fox. This isn't just any dinner. It's a pig roast. My favorite. Now get into this roasting pan. So the piglet is squealing. Doesn't seem very happy right now. He's really, really concerned. And we know that the fox is about to put him in the roast. Or in the pan for a roast. It was useless to struggle. All right, sighed the piglet. I will, but there's just one thing. What? Growled the fox. Well, I am a pig, you know. I'm filthy. Shouldn't you wash me first? Just a thought, Mr. Fox. The fox said to himself. He is filthy. What do you think that the fox is gonna do? Do you think that he's gonna wash the piglet? Let's find out, because we know that the piglet is very dirty or filthy. So the fox got busy. He collected twigs, he made a fire, he carried in the water, and finally he gave the piglet a nice bath. You're a terrific scrubber, said the piglet. The fox did give the pig a bath. There, said the fox. Now you're the cleanest piglet in the county. You stay still now. All right, sighed the piglet. I will. But what? Growled the fox. Well, I am a very small piglet, you know. Shouldn't you fatten me up to get more meat? Just a thought, Mr. Fox. The fox said to himself. He is on the small side. What do you think that the fox is going to do to fatten up the pig? I'm thinking that the fox is probably going to make him some kind of dinner. Let's find out. So the fox got busy. He picked tomatoes, he made spaghetti, he even baked cookies. And finally, he gave the piglet a nice dinner. You're a terrific cook, said the piglet. He ended up cooking for the piglet. There, said the fox. Now you're the fattest piglet in the county, so get into the oven. All right, sighed the piglet. I will, but... What? Shouted the fox. Well, I am a hard-working pig, you know. My meat is awfully tough. Shouldn't you massage me first to make a more tender roast? Just a thought, Mr. Fox. The fox said to himself. I do prefer tender meat. So, the fox got busy. He pushed and he pulled. He squeezed and he pounded the piglet from head to toe. "You give a terrific massage," said the piglet. So the piglet is very, very happy right now. But the piglet continued, "I've been working really hard lately. My back is awfully tough. Could you push a bit harder, Mr. Fox? A little to the right, please. Yes, yes. Now just a little to the left. Mr. Fox, are you there? Where's the fox? What do you think happened to him? Were the pig's demands way too much on the fox?" But Mr. Fox was no longer listening. He had passed out, exhausted and was tired. He couldn't lift a finger, let alone a roasting pan. "Poor Mr. Fox," sighed the piglet. "He's had a busy day." Then the cleanest, fattest, and softest piglet in the county picked up the rest of his cookies and headed for home. "What a bath! What a dinner! What a massage!" cried the piglet. "This must be my lucky day." When he got home, the piglet relaxed before a warm fire. "Let's see," he wondered, looking at his address book. "Who shall I visit next?" So many people the piglet can visit. Do you see the last page? Oh my goodness, who did the piglet go see? I wonder what's going to happen next. Will there be a part 2 to this story? I wonder. Let's talk a little bit about the details in this story and the main idea. Before we can talk about the details, let's talk about the main idea. The main idea in this story is that the pig avoided being eaten by the fox. Now remember, details support the main idea and they tell more about the character or the setting. Let's think in our minds. I'm thinking really hard right now about what details support the idea that the pig avoided being eaten by the fox. Let's think. There were probably 3 things in the story that happened. One of the first things that happened was that the pig was really dirty. So the pig was able to avoid being eaten by having the fox give him a bath. Something else that happened was that the pig said that he was really small or tiny. So a way that he avoided being eaten was by making sure that the fox did a whole lot of work in order to feed him a terrific meal. And then the very last thing that happened in the story was that the pig said that his meat was very tender or rough. So he asked the fox to give him a massage, and that is what really made the fox super tired. This week, we looked at details in the story. I encourage you to read your stories and identify the main idea and the details there. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Overish, and this is Math Mania for 1st and 2nd graders. I'm so happy you're here today. Let's learn something new in math. Today we're going to be talking about subtracting 3-digit numbers with regrouping, but using that place value chart. All you need today is a piece of paper, a pencil or a pen or a marker or whatever you got laying around to be able to write with. Okay, let's get started. First, we have our I can statement. Our I can statement today says, I can subtract 3-digit numbers with regrouping using a place value chart. Okay, so we are going to be subtracting or take away. So remember, when we subtract, we're taking away a smaller number from a big number. And a 3-digit number is a number with 3 separate digits. With regrouping, regrouping is when we rearrange or we put into a new group. So I'm going to write rearrange or put into new group. And using a place value chart. And our place value chart is a math tool that we've been using to help us organize our numbers before we add or before we subtract. So today we're going to be using it to really help us regroup our tens and our ones and our hundreds and all that to help some really difficult problems be just a little bit easier. So our place value chart helps us and shows us the value of our numbers. Okie dokie. Let's go ahead and get started. Our first example today is the number 500, or the problem, I should say, not the number. The problem 562 minus 347. So last week when we talked about subtraction, we discussed how when we're putting numbers in our place value chart, we only have to worry about that first big number. Because we're taking away the smaller number, they both don't need to be in the chart. So we're just going to put the number 562 in the chart. So I start my ones column and I have 2. So I put 2 ones. I immediately move next to my tens column where I have a 6. So I'm going to draw 6 tens rods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Move to my hundreds column where I have a 5. So I'm going to draw 5 hundreds. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we get to take away. So again, I want to always start in my ones place. This is really, really important, especially when we're regrouping, that we start right here. So we're going to start right here by taking away 7. Well, when I look down here, I only have 2 to cross out. So what should I do? This is when we need to regroup. We need to take a group of 10 to be able to make some more ones. I can't just come up with 7 out of nowhere. They have to come from something. So they're going to come from the place value right next to it, which is our tens column. And if I took one group of 10 over, that's 10 ones. Again, numbers can't disappear and show up out of nowhere. They have to come from somewhere. So when I take my group of 10, I take the one on the end, and I'm going to move it over here. It becomes 10 ones. 10 is kind of our lucky number when it comes to regrouping. So I'm going to draw 10 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, am I able to take away 7? Absolutely. I have more than enough. So I'm going to cross out 7 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I can count up how many I have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 left in our ones place. We can go ahead and move to our tens column. I come back over here and I see I need to take away 4. This guy, he's gone. He's no longer there. So he doesn't get to be a part of our count because he became 10 ones on this side. So I like to circle it so we can remember he's gone. He disappeared. He's no longer a part of our tens column. So let's cross out 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I see that I have 1 left. Move right along to my hundreds place. And I'm going to take away 3. 1, 2, 3. How many do I have left? 2. And when I read this number to put it back over here in our answer, this is always our final step. We see 215. So 562 minus 347 equals 215. Okay, let's try one together. Go ahead and grab that piece of paper and a pencil and I'll show you our next problem. Our next problem is 863 minus 482. So again, we only put that bigger number or the top number in our place value chart. So I have 863. And where should I start? The hundreds place, the tens place, or the ones place? Definitely the ones place. So I have a 3 in my ones place. 1, 2, 3. Move to my tens place where I see a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And finally go to my hundreds place where I have an 8. So I'm going to draw 8 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do you have the number 863 in your place value chart? If so, let's get ready for our next step, which is our takeaway step or our subtraction step. I want to start in my ones place where I see I need to take away a 2. So let's cross out 2 of our ones. And how many does that leave us? 1. Next, we want to move to our tens place. And I look and I see that I need to take away 8. Well, if I remember correctly, I only drew 6. And I know 8 is bigger than 6. So there's no way I can take away 8 from 6. Remember, Miss Overish likes to say, if I'm holding 6 Skittles and you come up and ask me for 8, I'm going to think you're crazy. Because I cannot just make them appear out of nowhere. It's the same thing with subtraction. We can't just make numbers show up. We need to regroup. We need to rearrange our number so that it works for our problem. So we are going to come to the next column over, and I see we have hundreds. If I take one group of 100 and put it into the tens column, how many tens is that? How many tens make up 100? 10. Remember, our lucky number is 10. I can't really show you my finger. 10, 10. So 10 tens equals 1 100. So if I come down here, I'm going to circle one of my 100s, draw my little arrow, and let's draw 10 10 rods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now can we take away 8? Absolutely. So we cross them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So how many do we have left? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I can put an 8 down here in my tens. And finally, we take away from our hundreds column. It looks like I need to take away 4. Is this still in my hundreds column? No, he's gone. He went over, he went next door. Okay, so he's not coming back. So we're going to take away 4, knowing that this is no longer a part of my hundreds column. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So how many do we have left? 1, 2, 3. So I put my 3 down in my hundreds column. I can read my number and I see that it says 381. Let's flip our paper over and try another one together. On your paper, I want you to write 735 minus 276. Remember, when you're drawing your place value chart, you want to take your pencil, your pen, your marker, whatever you're drawing with, and draw one big line all the way across your paper. So we want to make sure we have a really big space to fill it in so we have plenty of room and things aren't squishing on top of each other. And then you only need to draw 2 lines coming straight down, leaving plenty of space in between them. We have our H for our hundreds, our T for tens, and our O for our ones place. Let's go ahead and put the number 735 in our chart. I'm going to start with my ones place, which I see has a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I move to my tens place, which I see has a 3. So 3 tens. And finally my hundreds place, which has a 7. So 7 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Now we get to take away. As soon as our number 735 is in our place value chart, we're ready to move forward. We always want to start in our ones place. So I look here. I see I'm subtracting a 6. Do I have 6 to be able to cross out? No, I do not. So where can I get more ones? Because I need some more. That's right. We can take one group of 10, 110, which we know is 10 ones. So if I take 110, bring her on over, and now there's 10 more ones. So I got to draw 10 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I definitely have 6 I can take away. So I'm going to cross out 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how many do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 ones left. Now we move to our tens column, and it looks like it wants me to take away 7. Well, oh man, I wouldn't have been able to do that even when I had this guy around. Now I only have 2 left. So what should I do? How can I get more tens? I need to regroup, and I need to regroup 1 100, and it makes it into how many tens? 10 tens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now can I cross out 7? Sure can. Cross out 1, 2. He's not there. Come down here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So how many do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And finally, we can move to our hundreds place. And I see I'm just going to take away 2. 1, 2. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 left because he's no longer there. And I see now my final answer, 459. So 735 minus 276 is 459. Great job. Now we have our challenge question, and our challenge question today is going to be a word problem. So you need to be listening to the numbers in the problem, writing down your problem, and then I want you to see if you can solve this subtraction problem using that place value chart. Okay, are you ready? The teacher had 673 pieces of candy. That's so many pieces. She passed out 355. How many pieces of candy does she have left? So she started with 673. She passed out 355. How many does she have left? Did you go ahead and line up your problem? We start with that bigger number. So she started with 673. She gets rid of, or she passes out, she takes away, they're no longer with her, 355. So I know I'm going to be subtracting because I want to find out how many she has left. Can you draw your hundreds, tens, and ones place and put our number 673 into base 10 form? That way then you can take away this next number. You're going to have to regroup. So don't forget about what you need to do when you take from one column to the next. All right. You guys did a wonderful job today. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Mrs. Overish, and this is Math Mania. I'll see you next time.
Hello and welcome back to first and second grade science with Miss Allen. I am glad you are joining me today. Last week we talked about humans' impact on Earth's environment. Earth's environment consists of plants, animals, people, and living things, as well as non-living things. Earlier we learned about living and non-living things. Let's sing the song that we learned. It is living. It is living. I know why. I know why. It eats, it breathes, it grows. It eats, it breathes, it grows. It is alive. It is alive. Today we're going to talk a bit more about two specific groups of living things, plants and animals. We're going to talk about what plants and animals need to survive. Before we decide and learn about what plants and animals need to survive, let's learn what is a plant and what is an animal. Are there differences? Are there similarities? Here are some plants. here are some animals. What's the difference? The difference lies deep inside the plants and animals, the cells within their bodies. Cells are the basic building blocks of all living things. It's not something we can see with our eyes, but scientists can see them using powerful tools such as microscopes. The cells of animals and plants are different. Animal cells are typically round, while plant cells might be rectangular or cube-shaped. Animal cells have no cell wall, and plant cells do have a rigid cell wall. Plant cells have chloroplasts, while animal cells do not. The chloroplasts are where photosynthesis takes place. That's when a plant makes food and sugar from sunlight. All living things need their basic needs met to survive. Every living organism has its own way of making sure its basic needs are met. Plants and animals are living things. So what basic needs do they need met to survive? Let's find out. Plants need air, water, nutrients, and light to survive. Animals need air, water, food, and shelter to survive. For today's follow-up activity, we are going to use a Venn diagram to illustrate the needs of plants and animals that are the same or different. If you're going to follow along with me, you can get a piece of paper and a marker or pencil. We are going to make a Venn diagram to compare the basic needs of plants and animals. So I'm going to take one color and draw a circle. And I'm going to call that circle plants. I'm going to take another color. I'm going to draw another circle. I'm going to draw to overlap to leave a middle area. And I'm going to call this circle animals. So we have plants and we have animals. And this middle area is going to be the needs that are the same of both plants and animals. So I'm thinking of a need, a basic need. We learned that plants and animals both need air to survive. They both need air. So that's a need that's the same. Plants and animals need air to survive. We learned that animals need shelter. Plants do not necessarily need shelter, but animals need shelter to survive. So animals need air and shelter. Plants need air. We learned that both plants and animals need water to survive. We also know that plants and animals need a source of nutrients. Plants get their nutrients from the soil. Animals get their nutrients from food. They get the nutrients in different ways, but they both need nutrients. That's the same. And then finally, plants need light to survive so that they can do photosynthesis. So these are the basic needs of plants and animals. I see the similarities and the differences using this Venn diagram. Thank you so much for joining me this week as we learned about the needs of plants and animals and what basic needs they need met in order to survive. I'll see you next time.
Welcome to our Chinese class. 欢迎学汉语。欢迎。This is Miss Yang, and this is the Chinese lesson for grade 1 and grade 2 student. Today, we are going to go over using some adjectives to describe pets and people. What you will need today is a notebook and a pencil if you need to take note. Okay, let's get ready to learn. Our can-do statement for today. Can do, 我可以. I can identify some common pets. I can describe pets using simple adjectives. I can use more adjectives words to describe someone. Qing, 请听我说，请听我说。大，大，小，小，大，小。我的狗很大，我的狗很大，我的狗很小，我的狗很小。我的猫很大，我的猫很大，我的猫很小，我的猫很小。Now, please say with me. 请跟我说，大，大，小，小。我的狗很大，我的狗很大。我的狗很小，我的狗很小。我的猫很大，我的猫很大。我的猫很小，我的猫很小。Great! Let's see other adjectives. 胖，胖，胖。瘦，瘦，瘦。胖，胖，瘦。请听我说，我的狗很胖，我的狗很胖。我的猫很胖，我的猫很胖。我的狗很瘦，我的狗很瘦。我的猫很瘦，我的猫很瘦。Now, 请跟我说 ，Please say with me. 请跟我说，胖，胖，瘦，瘦。我的狗很胖，我的狗很胖。我的猫很胖，我的猫很 胖。我的狗很瘦。我的狗很瘦。我的猫很瘦。我的猫很瘦。Excellent， 非常好。Let's see one more adjectives. 可爱，可爱。请听我说，我的狗很可爱。我的狗很可爱。我的狗可爱吗？我的狗很可爱。我的猫可爱吗？我的猫很可爱。我的猫很可爱。Now, please say with 杨老师。可爱，可爱。我的狗很可爱。我的狗很可爱。我的猫很可爱。我的猫很可爱。Great! Now, Miss Yang going to ask you some questions. Please answer Miss Yang's question. 请回答我的问题。我的狗大吗？我的狗大吗？哦，我的狗很大。我的狗很大。我的狗大吗？我的狗大吗？不大。我的狗很小。我的狗很小。我的猫大吗？我的猫大吗？不大。我的猫很小。我的猫很小。我的猫胖吗？我的猫胖吗？胖。我的猫很胖。我的猫很胖。我的狗胖吗？我的狗胖吗？我的狗不胖。我的狗很瘦。我的狗很瘦。我的狗可爱吗？我的狗可爱吗？我的狗很可爱。我的狗很可爱。Great! Now, let's see more adjectives. 它很可爱。它很可爱。它很漂亮。它很漂亮。它很酷。它很酷。它很聪明。它很聪明。Great! Now, please say with 杨老师。可爱，可爱。它很可爱。漂亮，漂亮。它很漂亮。它很漂亮。酷，酷。它很酷。它很酷。聪明，聪明。它很聪明。它很聪明。Excellent. You do. Try to say the sentence based on the picture. 准备好了吗？ You ready? Let's try. 它酷吗？它很酷。它 他聪明吗？他很聪明。她漂亮吗？她很漂亮。她可爱吗？她很可爱。非常好。Now, let's talk about our assignment. Practice using some adjectives to describe pets and people. For example, 1. 我的狗很大。2. 我的猫很小。3. 我的狗很可爱。My dog is very cute. 4. 它很酷。5. 她很漂亮。That concludes our lesson for today. It has been my pleasure having you in the class. This is Miss Yang. See you next week. 再见，再见。
Hotep Scholars, I'm Professor Horton, and once again, this is STEM for 2nd grade. We've been talking all about matter. We said that there are 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. We said that solid is matter that has both size and shape. Liquid is matter that has size but no shape. And gas is matter that has no shape and no size. In last week's lab experiment, we created a tasty treat called crystal candy. In today's lab experiment, we'll get a chance to observe solid, liquid, and gas interacting together in an extremely fun way. Join me in the lab when we learn to make raisins dance. Alright, scholars, for today's lab activity, you'll need 2 clear glasses, water, raisins, and Sprite. So, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to observe a difference between the interaction of raisins and water and the interaction with raisins and Sprite. So in order to do that, we're going to put both of our glasses side by side. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to try to put the same amount of raisins in each jar. All right. There's 1 jar, and here's the second. Do your best to get them to be around the same amount. They don't have to be perfect, but we do want to try to make sure that neither jar has too much more than the other. That looks pretty good. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to pour the water into the first jar. In your launch log, I want you to illustrate what you see happening with the raisins after we pour the water into the jar. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to pour the Sprite into the second jar. Make sure you go slowly with the Sprite because it will fizz up, and if you pour it quickly, it will overflow and you might have a little bit of a mess. All right. So once again, in your launch log, I want you to take a close look at what's happening to the raisins that are in the Sprite. You notice how they keep going up and down? If you look closely, you'll notice that there are small bubbles on each of those raisins. Those bubbles contain air, which once again is a gas. Because of that, the gas rises to the top and it carries the raisins at the same time. When the gas reaches the top, the bubbles pop and the raisins drop. So once again, in your launch log, illustrate your observations of not only the raisins and the water, but also the raisins and the Sprite. Once again, nothing is happening to the raisins that are in the water. All right, scholars, so in our launch log, we are going to illustrate what we observed during our experiment. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw out my jar. And I know we had 2 of them, so I'm going to put up 2 jars. And need a round part at the top for an opening. That'll work. All right. And since this is an illustration, actually since this is a documentation, because we're documenting what we saw, let's go ahead and label each jar so that we know the contents of the jar. So this one will be water. And we'll make this one Sprite. All right. Now, we know that both jars had raisins in them at the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a few groups of raisins. There we go. That looks good. And we tried to get the same amount in each jar, so we'll go ahead and even in our documentation, we'll try to make them look like there's the same amount. Now, let's think back to our experiment, and if you're at home, you can continue to look at the experiment, and you'll notice that the raisins that were going to the top, once again, had bubbles on them. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop some raisins into this jar for our illustration. There we go. Put some of them going to the top. There we go. All right, so now we've got some raisins that look like they're rising to the top. And what we really want to illustrate is the fact that on the raisins that rose to the top, there were these little tiny bubbles. on each and every one of them. So I'm going to try to put a bubble on all of the raisins that went to the top. That way, when I look back at this experiment, I'll remember why those bubbles went to the top. Actually, why those raisins went to the top. So the raisins went to the top because they had bubbles on them that carried them to the top. And then when the bubbles got to the top, they popped and the raisins came back down. So I'll leave these two raisins with no bubbles. That way I'll remember that they fell once they got to the top. I think the last thing that I need here is something to let us know that we're at the top. There we go. Try to make it look a little bit fizzy. Okay, that works. And this one just looks calm. Alright. See if I can add some bubbles here. There we go. That'll work for my illustration. Alright, scholars. Once again, illustrate your observations in your launch log. Alright, that's all I have for you today. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.
Welcome to Foreign Language Academy, Kansas City one and only emerging school for Chinese and Spanish.
We are so happy to have you visit FLA. I'm Dr. Joel Ramsdale, the principal of Foreign Language Academy. We are the region's only international baccalaureate school that is authorized as a primary years program, as well as being in candidacy for our middle years program. We look forward to sharing more about our school with you.
Bienvenidos al cuarto grado. Immersion is the best way for a student to become fluent in a foreign language.
At FLA, we have a strong sense of community. Our parent-teacher organization meets monthly and organizes different events and activities such as Arts Night, where students can showcase their artwork and also enjoy live performances by students.
Each year, the 8th grade Spanish student fundraise to help support a trip to Costa Rica.
Children at FLA have an advantage, learning English as well as a foreign language. This will prepare them for not only being in the classroom, but beyond.
When our families join FLA, they select a school for their kids that is elementary and middle school. Our students are able to experience the full immersion program since kindergarten all the way to 8th grade.
Thank you for joining us on this virtual tour. We appreciate it. If you would like to learn more about Foreign Language Academy or schedule a personal tour, please call our school phone number, which is 816-418-6000. We look forward to sharing all of the great things that we're doing here at the Foreign Language Academy with you.
I am Lincoln Middle.
At Lincoln Middle School, students discover their talents and passions, where teachers plant the seeds of lifelong learning.
I am Lincoln Middle.
Where excellence is nurtured. Students develop the skills to be successful in school, career, and beyond.
Je suis Lincoln Middle.
Lincoln Middle is the public school where your child will thrive and grow. Open a world of possibilities. Apply today. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Lincoln Middle.